public health importance. Introduction. Public health pests are organisms which attract or annoy us in some way. When pests such as insects attack us by biting or stinging, it may result in occurrence of a disease. Some animal species harbor pathogenic microbial organisms such as bacteria or viruses. If an animal transmits such an organism to a person and the person becomes ill, then the animal has served as a disease vector. Some organisms are included as public health pests not because they directly attack or annoy us, but because they help produce situations favoring the growth of pests or vectors. Weeds are an example of this public nuisance. Ecology of many vector-pathogen relationships is very complex, and that vectors can have a number of roles in pathogenic transmission and maintenance. Many arthropod species, formerly considered only pests, are now known to play vital roles in maintenance, amplification, and transmission of vertebrate pathogens. Thus, with the realization that certain arthropods can cause diseases other than infectious diseases in humans and other animals, comes the conclusion that there are really very few significant distinctions to be made between arthropod pests and arthropods of public health importance. Failure to properly identify a pest causing a problem may result in a failure to solve the problem and thus waste time, money, chemicals and effort. Proper identification will make it possible for one to understand much more about the pest, to make appropriate selection and application of management techniques in a way that solves the problem with minimal secondary effects to people and the environment. Most public health pests and disease vectors can be placed into two groups in the animal kingdom: the invertebrates, which are the animals without backbones, and the vertebrates, which are animals with backbones, and the loosely defined category called weeds in the plant kingdom. Let us now study the arthropods of public health importance, and in detail about insects. Lice. Most lice are scavengers, feeding on skin and other debris found on the host bodies. But some species feed on sebaceous secretions and most importantly on blood. Most are found only on specific type of animals and in some cases only to a particular part of the body. Some animals are known to host up to 15 different species, although 1 to 3 is typical for mammals and 2 to 6 for birds. For example, in humans, different species of the louse inhabited the scalp and the pubic hair. Lice generally cannot survive for long if removed from their host. A louse's color varies from pale beige to dark grey. However, if feeding on blood, it may become considerably darker. Female lice are usually more common than males, and some species are even known to be parthenogenetic. Lice are exopterygoids, being born as miniature versions of the adult known as nymphs. The young molt 3 times before reaching the final adult form, usually within a month of hatching. Humans host 3 different kinds of lice: the head lice, the body lice and the pubic lice. The head louse is an obligate ectoparasite of humans. Head lice are wingless insects spending their entire life on the human scalp and feeding exclusively on human blood. Like all lice, head lice differ from other hematophagocytopparasites such as the flea in that the lice spend their entire life cycle on a host. Head lice cannot fly, and their short stumpy legs render them incapable of jumping or even walking efficiently on flat surfaces. Lice infestation of any part of the body is known as pediculosis. Head lice, especially in children, have been and still are subjected to various eradication campaigns. Unlike body lice, head lice are not the vectors of any known diseases except for rare secondary infections that result from scratching at bites. Head lice are harmless and they have been regarded by some essentially as a cosmetic rather than a medical problem. It has even been suggested that the head lice infestations might be beneficial in helping to foster a natural immune response against lice, which help humans in defense against the far more dangerous body louse which is capable of transmission of dangerous diseases. All stages are blood feeders and bite the skin 4 to 5 times daily to feed. They inject saliva which contains an anticoagulant and suck blood. Let us now study cockroaches. Cockroaches are insects of the order Blattodea, sometimes also called the Blattaria, of which about 30 species out of the 4,600 total are associated with human habitats. About 4 species are well known as pests of public health importance. Among the best known pest species are the American cockroach, which is about 30 millimeters long, the German cockroach, which is about 15 millimeter long, the Asian cockroach, which is also about 15 millimeters in length, and the Oriental cockroach, which is about 25 millimeters in length. Cockroaches are one of the most commonly noted household pest insects. They feed on human and pet food and can leave an offensive odor. They can also passively transport microbes on their body surfaces, including those that are potentially dangerous to humans, particularly in environments such as hospitals. Cockroaches are linked with allergic reactions in humans. One of the proteins that triggers allergic reactions is the tropomyosin. These allergens are also linked with asthma. Diatomaceous earth applied as a fine powder works very well to eliminate cockroaches as long as it remains in place and dry. Diatomaceous earth is harmless to humans and feels like talcum powder. Most insects, including bedbugs, are vulnerable to it. Some cockroaches have been known to live up to 3 months without food and a month without water. Frequently living outdoors, although preferring warm climates and considered cold intolerant, they are resilient enough to survive occasional freezing temperatures. This makes them difficult to eradicate once they have infested an area. Let us now study bedbugs. Bedbugs are parasitic insects of the Simisid family that feed exclusively on blood. The common bedbug is best known as it prefers to feed on human blood. The name bedbug derived from the preferred habitat of the bedbug, that is warm houses and especially nearby or inside of beds and bedding or other sleep areas. Bedbugs are mainly active at night but are not exclusively nocturnal. They usually feed on their hosts without being noticed. A number of adverse health effects may result from bedbug bites, including skin rashes, psychological effects, and allergic symptoms. They are not known to transmit any pathogens as disease vectors. Certain signs and symptoms suggest the presence of bedbugs. Finding the insects confirms the diagnosis. The housefly. Musca domestica is a fly of the suborder Cyclorapha. It is the most common of all domestic flies, accounting for about 91% of all flies in human habitations and indeed one of the most widely distributed insects found all over the world. It is considered a pest that can carry serious diseases. In colder climates, houseflies survive only with humans. They have a tendency to aggregate and are difficult to dispose of. They are capable of carrying over 100 pathogens such as those causing typhoid, cholera, salmonellosis, bacillary dysentery, tuberculosis, anthrax, and parasitic worms. Some strains have become immune to most common insecticides. Houseflies feed on liquid or semi-liquid substances besides solid material which has been softened by saliva or vomit. Because of their large intake of food, they deposit feces constantly, one of the factors that makes the insect a dangerous carrier of pathogens. Although they are domestic flies, usually confined to human habitations, they can fly for several miles from the breeding place. They are active only in the daytime and rest in the night. Example, at the corners of the room, ceiling, cellars and barns, where they can survive in the coldest winters by hibernation, and when spring arrives, adult flies are seen only a few days after the first thaw. As a transmitter of disease, mechanical transmission of organisms on its hair, mouthparts, vomitus and feces. Some of the parasitic diseases which is spread by the housefly includes cysts of the protozoa, example Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia lamblia and the eggs of helminthes. The bacterial diseases which is spread is typhoid, cholera, dysentery, pyogenic cocci, etc. Houseflies have been demonstrated to be vectors of Campylobacter and of E. coli. The viral diseases includes enteroviruses such as poliomyelitis and viral hepatitis A and E. The other arthropods of public health importance are the subclass Acari, which is a tick. Ticks are small arachnids in the order Parasitiformes. Along with mites, they constitute the subclass Acarina. Ticks are ectoparasites, external parasites, living by hematophagy on the blood of mammals, birds and sometimes reptiles and amphibians. Ticks are vectors of a number of diseases including Lyme disease, Q fever, Colorado tick fever, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, African tick bite fever, tularemia, tick-borne relapsing fever, babesiosis, tick paralysis and tick-borne meningoencephalitis. Tick-borne diseases. Tick-borne illness are caused by infection with a variety of pathogens including rickettsia and other types of bacteria, viruses and protozoa. Because ticks can harbor more than one disease-causing agent, patients can be infected with more than one pathogen at the same time, compounding the difficulty in diagnosis and treatment. Major tick-borne diseases include Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, relapsing fever, tularemia, tick-borne meningoencephalitis, Colorado tick fever. A recent find is a bacterium which causes blood clots present in 9% of the rodents. It mainly affects persons with lowered immune defense and can be cured with antibiotics. Tick bites may also include a delayed allergy to red meat involving the oligosaccharide galactose alpha 1,3 galactose. The food-induced reactions including anaphylaxis characteristically present several hours after eating in subjects who have experienced a large local reaction to tick bites up to 6 months earlier. Eggs can be infected with pathogens inside the ovaries, meaning the larval ticks can be infectious immediately at hatching before feeding on their first host. Subclass Acari, a mite. The majority of mite species are harmless to humans, but a few species of mites can colonize humans directly, act as vectors for disease transmission, or cause or contribute to allergic diseases. Mites which colonize human skin are the cause of several types of skin itchy rashes such as the grosser's itch and the scabies. Sarcoptes scabies is a parasitic mite responsible for scabies, which is one of the 3 most common skin disorders in children. Demodex mites, which are a common cause of mange in dogs and other domesticated animals, have also been implicated in the human skin disease rosacea, although the mechanism by which Demodex contributes to the disease is unclear. Chiggers are known primarily for their itchy bite, but they can also spread disease in some limited circumstances, such as the scrub typhus. The house mouse mite is the only known vector of the disease rickettsial pox. Dust mites cause several forms of allergic diseases, including hay fever, asthma, and eczema, and are known to aggravate atopic dermatitis. House dust mites are usually found in warm and humid locations, including beds. Let us now look at mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are members of the family nematocerid flies, the Culicidae. They can act as vectors for many diseases, causing viruses and parasites. Infected mosquitoes carry these organisms from person to person without exhibiting symptoms themselves. Mosquito-borne diseases include viral diseases such as the yellow fever, the dengue fever, and chikungunya, transmitted mostly by the Aedes aegypti. Dengue fever is spread through the bites of infected mosquitoes and cannot be spread person to person. Severe dengue can be fatal, but with good treatment, less than 1% of patients die from dengue. The parasitic diseases collectively called malaria, caused by various species of the Plasmodium carried by mosquitoes of the genus Anopheles. Lymphatic filariasis, the main cause of elephantitis, which can be spread by a wide variety of mosquito species. Tularemia, a bacterial disease is variously transmitted, including biting flies. Culex and Culiceta are vectors of tularemia, as well as arbovirus infections such as the West Nile virus. Let us now look at the vertebrate pests. Vertebrate pests include birds, mammals, or reptiles that cause damage to agricultural crops. A number of introduced animals, including rabbits, feral cats, foxes, house mice, wild dogs, the Indian myna, and pigs, are pests to crops and livestock. Types and damages caused. Rodents. 3 types of rodents are commonly associated with public health problems. The Norway rat, they are also known as the brown rat or the sewer rat. Norway rats are the most numerous in urban areas. They burrow and live in the ground and in wood piles, debris, sewers, and rubbish. Norway rats are omnivorous, which means they can eat a wide variety of food, but they most prefer cereal grains, meat, fish, nuts, and some fruits. They do not travel more than 100 meters in search of water and food. When Norway rats invade buildings, they usually remain in the basement or the ground floor. They reproduce rapidly 4 to 7 times a year, producing 8 to 12 young per litter with a gestation period of 22 days. The adult is relatively large in size with a short tail and small ears. Their lifespan is 9 to 12 months. Roof rats. They are also known as the black or the grey rat, and these roof rats are more numerous in rural areas. They live in roofs, as the name suggests, and eat mainly grains. When compared to the Norway rats, they are smaller with longer tails and ears, and they are excellent climbers, and they usually live and nest above grounds in shrubs, trees, and dense vegetation. In buildings, they are most often found in enclosed or elevated spaces in attics, walls, false ceilings, roofs, and cabinets. They usually nest in buildings that have a range of 30 to 45 meters. They can often be seen at night running along overhead utility lines or fence tops using their long tails for balance. The average number of litters a female roof rat has per year depends on many factors, but is generally between 3 and 5, with 5 to 8 young in each reproduction. Mice. Mice are smaller in size than rats and generally prefer cereals to eat. They are excellent climbers and can run up any rough vertical surface. They will run horizontally along wire cables or ropes and can jump from the floor onto a flat surface. Mice can squeeze through openings slightly larger than 1 centimeter across. In single year, a female may reproduce 5 to 10 times of about 5 to 6 young ones each time. Young are born 19 to 21 days after mating and they reach reproductive maturity in 6 to 10 weeks. The lifespan of a mouse is about 9 to 12 months. Rodents cause a number of problems. They are disease transmission. Rats are the natural hosts of fleas that may carry bubonic plague and murine typhus or endemic typhus from an infected rat to a human. They can also cause food damage. Mice and rats will eat stored food, mainly grains, and will spoil food by leaving their droppings. One can consume 15 kilograms of food per year. Rats are estimated to destroy 20% of the world's crop production. They can also cause material damage, gnawing by the front teeth to doors, windows, wood, boxes, bags, clothes, etc. Native and exotic animal pests, the feral cats. These are domestic cats which can survive and reproduce without close association to humans. However, their status is variable and feral cats may live either in close proximity to human habitation or be completely isolated in the bush. Foxes. The red foxes are pest animals that are known to kill livestock, particularly the young, and also damage vegetable and fruit crops. Rabbits. Feral or wild populations of rabbits selectively feed on certain species of plants at critical stages of development such as seedling and seedling establishment. Vegetables often targeted include beans, peas, beet, broccoli, carrot, lettuce and herbs like parsley. Feral pigs. Feral pigs are the descendants of domestic pigs that escaped and have bred in the wild. They rest and shelter in crops, eat crops during harvest time, trample pasture and cause serious soil disturbance when they uproot large tracts of ground, often new crops in search of roots and young plant shoots. Birds. Birds include cockatoos, other parrots and the Indian myna. More than 20 species of birds conflict with primary production by significantly reducing the profitability of a wide range of crops in horticultural industries. Let us now look at the impact of weeds on human health. Weeds can also cause human health problems. Many common weeds such as the Parthenium weed, the ragweed, the ryegrass and the privet cause asthma and other respiratory problems, especially in children. Some weeds can also cause skin irritation and some are poisonous. Some water weeds such as water hyacinth and the camboda can affect the quality of our drinking water if infestations are not managed within water supply dams. There are no common characteristics of a poison or harmful weed that would help distinguish them. But as a general rule, plants with a bitter taste, unusual smell, milky sap or red berries may be poisonous, with some plants having poisonous roots and bulbs. These are the pests of public health importance. Thank you.